All right, there we go. Sorry, some technical issues as usual with me. So, hello, my name is Laura. Registered nurse, been carnivore over 5 years, was keto 28 before that. And tonight, what I want to go over with everybody doesn't necessarily have anything to do with any specific type of eating, more of just what's in our food. So, the main thing I want to go over is what's in our foods, and I want to show you and describe to you um, what you can look at, what you can look for on your food labels, so that you know what is safe and what's not safe. And that's just what we know. Like there's could be more out there, and who knows. One of these, since I made this up, um, let's see, April. I did this for a widows group, and I went over all these things for them. Since then, one of these items actually, supposedly, the US has now banned. We'll see. Just because it's banned, it changes names usually and then comes back out later. So we'll see how that goes. I don't always trust everything that they say they're going to do. Let's see what to do. I just want to put this. Yeah, let's. No, I don't want to put that one up. I don't know what I want. Do you? There we go. But I don't want that either. I'll get my stuff together here in a second. All right, let's just do a new one. How about we do this? This will give people in a few minutes. Maybe they'll see that we're on here and they can come on. Carnivore. See how that is. There we go. All right, we'll put that up. There we go. Yeah. All right. So let's go back out to this. All right. All right. So let's get started. So, one of the things that you want to watch for, and I have seen this in Walmart and I've seen it in Hy-Vee food stores on their labels. I haven't checked at Aldi's. I really don't go into grocery stores hardly ever anymore. I begrudgingly go with my husband when he wants to go pick up food that he eats, because he does eat the standard American diet slash lots of meat, lots of good stuff. Aid, I agree with you. Hunting and carnivore is proper human behavior. Although I did just kind of have to have a discussion about that with a patient's family member today, who kind of came at me and was like, I recognize you. I think I saw you on a YouTube video. And it was actually an interview I did with the carnivore hunters, which are two brothers. They're great guys. And she had seen that video, and I think it was our cholesterol video, which has all the sites, every study. We have all of that stuff listed that goes with it. So, but even when you show people that are insane um, the truth and stuff, they can't see it, which that's okay. So the first thing I want to go over, like I said, I have seen these in certain stores around where we live. I live in the Midwest. Um, yeah. Anyway, so it's called GRAS. So like grass, but with one S. And what that actually stands for is generally recognized as safe. Most of us would not feed our pets something if it was just generally recognized as safe. So that right there, I'm just like, does that even make sense that we should be eating something like that? I don't think so, but so and that's generally recognized as safe by the FDA. Um, this group includes a variety of substances from commonly used flavors and spices to phosphates and carrageenan. These substances are considered harmless unless prescribed conditions of use. I don't know what that even means. because to me, there's no way. Hi, Arlene. And I did see your message in my email, and I will put that together tonight for you. So I will get that sent out. I didn't see it on the website, but I did see it in my email. So I'll go in and take everything out on the website, just so you know. So let's go over some of those things that they consider safe for us to eat in our food, plus be in our conditioner, our shampoo, our body soap, our lotions, eye drops, toothpaste. So the first one is going to be phosphates, which they can be toxic. They can cause diarrhea and calcification of organs and soft tissue. They can interfere with our body's ability to use iron, calcium, magnesium, and zinc. Know a lot of people that have that. Um, um, it's just crazy. They have a lot of issues with these. Plus, not only is it bad that it blocks those things, but our food is so deficient in all of those elements anyway. I mean, it's just, I could go on for 10 years. I'm going to try to keep this one short tonight and stay too big of a soapbox, but we'll see. You never know. Sometimes I go a little rogue. I'm like Sarah Palin of the carnivore. Yeah. Anyway, carrageenans may have adverse effects on gastrointestinal health, including aggravating intestinal inflammation. They're used to thicken foods in the US. The European Union has banned its use in food products as well as in baby food for decades, several decades. So, five of the most common food additives used in the US: titanium dioxide, which, like if somebody was going to build me a new leg, I'd be, yeah, titanium dioxide sounds really tough and strong. Sounds like something I would want, but I don't want it in my food. So it's a chemical that's commonly added to American foods. Foods with titanium dioxide are typically candies, pastries, chewing gum, coffee creamers. So look at your creamers, um, chocolates, and cake decorations. These can irritate the eyes, nose, throat. Since it's been shown to cause lung cancer in animals, a carcinogen, such substances may also have the potential for causing reproductive damage in humans. As with everything else, the UK has banned these substances years ago, not used there at all. This next one is the one that my husband came home Monday or Tuesday and said, "Oh, the FDA finally has banned brominated vegetable oil." And I said, "Right, sure they have. They maybe have said that on paper, but I said, I want to see when that comes to fruition and they do away with that, because you look at any of the junk that's red and you have this in it." So we'll see. Like I said, they'll probably figure out a way to change the name until you figure out that it's the new name of it, just like they did with sugar. So let me look real quick. Mhm. That's okay, Arlene. If you send me multiple messages, that's okay. Not a problem at all. Um, let's see. No, many people, so Aid says, no, many people ask me if I ever get cravings, and I tell them that I do not because I don't eat poison. That's exactly true. I don't either. Um, the only time I get a craving at all is if I eat pork rinds, even though they're plain. The histamines do cause me a little bit of a reaction, and then I kind of am like, "Ooh, this sounds good," or "This sounds good." But otherwise, if I stay clean and I eat lion diet 99% of the time, if I do that, I absolutely have no cravings. I'm never hungry. Like I almost have to go that 22 hours and then I'm like, yeah, I could probably eat something. Um, so a couple of these days, I may just go ahead and start doing a couple 24-hour fasts. I'm not going to do extended fasting. I'm not sure that's great on the female system, but we'll see. Phosphates, they are in washing soap for your clothes, which they don't have to be there either. Um, but yes, that is true. Around his face and hair. Yeah, just have him look at the coffee creamer, to be sure what's in it. Also, see if he can switch to like just half and half heavy whipping cream, something like that. It's going to be a better option. But even at that, you have to read the label and make sure it doesn't have anything hidden in there. So, brominated vegetable oils. is used in mostly citrus flavored drinks in the United States. It's a food additive that is banned in Japan, European Union, the UK, everywhere. Bromine is a deep red, oily liquid with a sharp smell. It is toxic. Bromine is used in many areas, such as agriculture, chemicals, dye items to dye clothes, things like that, insecticides, pharmaceuticals, and chemical intermediates. I don't know about you, but I am super hungry after I read that. Another additive that you'll see in the foods is BHA and BHT. Um, so those can induce allergic reactions in the skin. This is something I do react to a lot. I do know that. So the International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies BHA as a human carcinogen. And these are used as preservatives in food packaging, and animal feed to preserve appealing food color, and color, and flavor. Okay, I typo. This is used in U.S. products but banned elsewhere. RBST, previously called bovine growth hormone, see where they've changed the name, and you wouldn't know that there is bovine growth hormone in your product unless you see it's a little r and then it's a large BST. So just think for just for 1 second. Like if they're putting these growth hormones into, it's usually more than any, it's injected into dairy cows. Not every dairy producer does it. You have to figure out if you are local to somebody doing it, if they do it. It's usually used with them. It is a genetically engineered hormone injected into dairy cows to increase their milk production from the RBST treated cows. It's used in dairy products, including ice cream, butter, cheese, and yogurt. The current legislation does not allow the use of RBST within European Union and EU member countries, but is used widely here in the US. So grass-fed cows, I don't think you're going to have to worry about that, because most people who are doing regenerative farming and doing grass-fed cows, you're not going to see them using the growth hormone. So let me look at a couple questions here. So Aid says, I put many things on my skin: sunshine, fresh air, water, tallow, cotton, and wool. Very smart. Yeah, I have some cotton sheets. Let me show you real quick. I can't show you what they look like. They're in the box, but let me show you. Yeah. Yep, these are 100% cotton. It just says bed sheets on there because this is my prep room, so it's in my prep stuff. I also have ones that are pure linen, without any kind of additives in it. I cannot do wool. I can do wool as a secondary thing. So like if I'm out in the cold and I have something else on and then wool over the top, I can do that. But if wool is up against my skin, it'll drive me insane. So yes, tallow, good. Good. Arlene said using tallow. Yes. All of the products that I make, that like for skin, hair, deodorant, things like that, all of that is with grass-fed tallow. It's ribeye fat that I render down and make the tallow. I render it twice to purify it and then use it in the products. So, and then the rest of my products are all natural ingredients. I don't put any junk in those for our skin. Let's see. I didn't know about the live. I'm so very happy I checked. I've been checking labels for a long time now. If the labels have things I can't find in nature, it's over. I now only eat meat and eggs. Very smart, Jiffy. Yeah, I don't buy food at the store unless I once in a blue moon decide that I want to buy a couple bags of like Max pork rinds, and I buy the little teeny ones because I'm an overeater of those and I will eat forever. So I just do the small bags, and that's about once every 2 months. I'll do something like that. Otherwise, if I do, like I said, I go to Walmart with him, I might buy like bubble wrap because, to put around my products, like my facial serum and stuff that's in glass bottles to send out, but that's it. And I don't want to give Walmart my money anyway. They don't align with my beliefs. And yes, Aid says there's over 100 names for sugar and 60 for seed oils allowed on food labels. Beware. That's true. Jiffy says my list is always getting shorter. Thank you, Laura. Mine too. Yeah. I've been carnivore 5 years as of June. And I can remember the first year I'd still get some of the butter there. I'd still get a few. I'm trying to think what else. I didn't buy eggs because my daughter has eggs and I have an egg person, an egg dealer, I guess you call it. I don't remember. But anyway, we used to take two separate carts because I refuse to put money towards poisonous food. So that's just kind of an agreement that me and my husband has. He has his cart, I had mine. And then it got to where I'm like, we can use the same cart, and I just used the part where the kid would sit in the cart. And now I have my purse sitting in there, and it's like, well, I need some foil, or I need a baggies for something for my business or whatever. Otherwise, I don't do any of it. Hey, Hoosier. Oh, I'm glad you like your products. He said he likes the products. Great. Yeah, it's really good stuff. On that shaving balm, the first couple times that I used it, I was like, boy, I don't know. It went on and my legs got like instantly just kind of like oily. And I was like, shave cream, you're used to it staying kind of wet or white and, like that. But man, was it good. And my skin felt so good after that. So I'm sure if you're using that like on your face, it's got to be feels good on your skin. So let's see. All right, let's see. Note, if your doctor writes a medication script without first asking you about your diet and lifestyle, you don't have a doctor, you have a drug dealer. Absolutely the correct story. And I may go off on that here in a little bit. You may have to remind me. I did have a eventful day this morning with a physician, if we want to call him that. So artificial food dyes, let's just say, I'll give you a little hint. He wanted to go toe to toe, and most doctors are 100 times smarter than a nurse. For me, I believe they went to school when it comes to book knowledge. As for common sense, they usually lack, but not all. There are some really good ones. But he thought he was going to use biology and all these other things against me, and I was like, "Yes, sir, let's go." Let's go. I've been eating healthy for 33 out of my 53 years. So let's go. I will take you up on that, sir. I will be your huckleberry. Okay, so our next food additive is artificial food dyes. So most artificially colored foods are colored with synthetic more petroleum-based chemicals called dyes that do not occur in nature. Because food dyes are used almost solely in foods in low nutritional value, such as candy, soft drinks, gelatin, desserts, etc. A good rule of thumb is simply avoiding all dyed foods. You may also see the term lake, Lake, like something you would fish on the label. Avoid those too. That is the technical term for the water insoluble form of a dye, often used in fatty foods and low moisture foods. In addition to problems mentioned below, synthetic food dyes, this is going to be a surprise, causes hyperactivity. Red 3 causes cancer in every animal it was tested on, and several other dyes also are considered carcinogenic. 3 dyes, red 40, yellow 5, and yellow 6, have found to be contaminated with benzidine and other carcinogens. At least 4 dyes, blue 1, red 40, yellow 5, and yellow 6, also cause hypersensitivity and food reactions. Um, that benzidine is related to benzene, which used to be used kind of like in parts cleaners. We used it at a factory I worked at. We made semi trailers. We made the boxio, the truck of it. And when we would get done with the walls after we put everything, you got black fingerprints and everything all over, we would take that and clean the side of it off because they would clean it off so well. And it was already actually banned for use that way, but somehow we had all these 55-gallon barrels there. And somehow um, it got turned into OSHA. I'm not sure how that happened. Next, these are wonderful. So next is bioengineered foods. Foods that contain genetic material that has been modified through certain laboratory techniques and for which the modification could not have been obtained through conventional breeding or found in nature. Also includes genetically modified sources. Europeans fear long term health risk above all, and since genetically modified food is still relatively new, there is no scientific test that can show that the genetically modified food is safe in the long run. Therefore, Europeans prefer to approach the genetically modified issue with precaution, unlike the United States. Now, I will have people that are like, well, we genetically modified cows to be more this way and dogs to be this way and all these. And that's, I'm not saying that's right either. Um, but it also can mean lab created. So bioengineered is not just genetically modified, it also can mean lab created. And that scares me. Anytime somebody says it can be created in the lab, if anybody's been awake for the last 4 years, I don't want anything that somebody has been messing with in a lab. I know, well, I didn't trust them before, obviously, but I especially don't trust them now. So never going to have that. So the things that I recommend to people, like when I was talking to these ladies at the widows meeting, I just recommended that they basically eat as many single ingredient foods as possible. I said, when able, get them from your own garden or from farmers markets, but ask questions. Even at farmers markets, you're not guaranteed that what you think you're getting is what you're getting. So you still have to ask. And at the farmers market, they can tell you one thing and it can actually be something completely different. So you just have to kind of learn who you can trust and who you can't. I live in a small conservative area and we know all the people. So I have a lady right here in town who has chickens, and she's always like, I see all these videos and you talk about these chickens and eggs and da da da. And I said, I'm lying. I don't eat very many eggs anymore. And I said, my daughter has them. I have another chicken lady, that I can get them from. And I said, what do you feed yours? And you could have knocked me over with a feather. She says, oh, I get 100-pound bags of 100% gluten for like $5 from this factory over in Iowa, just across the river from us, because it's like a byproduct that they have left over from their processing. And I'm like, you feed them 100% gluten. She's like, oh, yeah, but they break it down. I'm like, no, they don't. No, they don't. They are a single stomach. They do not break that down. I was like, so it's in their meat, it's in their eggs. And I'm like, no, thank you. And she's like, well, make sure to tell your friends. And I was like, oh, don't worry. I will. And I hate that, but I'm not going to tell people to go get eggs from somebody that's feeding them that stuff. Another thing that I told them, even if I bought something at the farmer's market, it wouldn't matter where I bought it. If I was buying vegetables and fruits, which I will never do, but if there's people out there that do, I would always wash them with um, 1 part vinegar to 4 parts water in a sink, and I let them set for 30 minutes. It says you can do it 5. I think the longer, the better you can get that stuff off of there. I told them that they need to read labels, get informed about the foods that they're eating. After all, we are what we eat. Chemicals should not be part of our daily eating. No wonder the last 150 years our health has declined rapidly. As we departed from nature for quick and easy food items, think back to your childhood. Do you remember your grandparents having massive high blood pressure? Um, Everybody having diabetes like we have now, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, ALS, MS. I truly believe that this much higher incident of metabolic disease is due to our food supply. When you take the populace of other nations that ban many of the above items, their metabolic disease ratio is significantly lower than that of the United States. And then you guys probably know this, but I'm going to go over it because there might be somebody on here who does not. Um, Metabolic syndrome is the prevalence of no, sorry, let me start over. The prevalence of metabolic syndrome was estimated taking into account the complex sampling. The total prevalence of metabolic syndrome has increased from 37.6 in 2011 and 12. That's what we had, to almost 42% in 2021. I mean, that's pretty bad. And I would say by the end of 2024, when they look to see how what the prevalence of metabolic syndrome is, I can only imagine. I will guarantee it's at 50%. If it's not, I will be surprised. Of course, the more people we can reach and help them, maybe, yeah, we can help them. Um, so I said, lastly, we would all consider living in the US to be beneficial as a nation that is considered not a third world country at this time. Then ask yourself, why has our longevity now dipped below other nations? Why is our age, we used to be 78 and 80 or 76 and 78, and we've dropped 2 years. And they said that was without putting the COVID numbers in there of death. And that's for both men and women. So the researchers found that men and women in the United States live 2.2 fewer years than residents in similar countries. I said, I want this to help you to become informed and more knowledgeable when it comes to your health. It's ultimately our job to feed our bodies best as we can with the knowledge we have. And I said, the other thing I said to them, because it ended up being a 2-hour meeting, was that it's our job to take care of our bodies on a daily basis. It's not up to our physicians to do so. And when you put that daily health in a physician's hands, you're going to get medications. And that's just the way it's going to be. So, all right, let's see. Arlene says, I can eat too many pork rinds too. So I have to watch it because then I want it every night and more each night. Oh, I'm glad you like the tooth powder. I love the tooth powder too. And I haven't done the spearmint one. I mean, I've made the spearmint one. It's the only one I haven't actually used. I love the smell of it, but I don't know. I'm kind of torn between the peppermint and the cinnamon, and I would have never made the cinnamon. That's the funny thing. If it wouldn't have been for Amy Gordon, I believe she was the first one to ever ask, like, do you make anything that has cinnamon? And I was like, no, I really hadn't. And I was like, I'm not a big cinnamon fan, but I made it. And then I was like, I had too much to put in all the other containers, but not enough to fill another one. I was like, oh, I'll just go ahead and use it. And I was like, oh, shoot, I really kind of like this. So I love it. So I'm glad you do. The closer to Paleo Man or his good wife, then we get the healthier we become. That is true. He says, no GMO for him. Kathy says, agreed. No GMO for me either. We selectively bred cows, sheep, goats, and dogs. We didn't interfere with their genetics. Yes and no. So I'll tell you what I know and then see what you think. There have been some animals, even at the University of Iowa, which you can get in there and kind of see what they have done. They have genetically modified. I mean, you remember Dolly the sheep, and that's just what they told us they were doing. I have pretty good information that there has been some other things like that done when it comes to the genetics. So, and just because they don't tell us doesn't mean it's not happening. So yeah, and I agree. We did selectively pick the bigger dog or the smaller dog to go with the smaller dog. Absolutely. I do believe that. But that could have happened in nature. So that's where I'm always like, that could have happened in nature, small cow saw a big cow and was like, hey, why not? But yeah, the genetically modifying I don't like. Hi, Simpson. How are you? Great, great, great. Let's see. My husband and I are going to love. Yes, you will, Arlene. If you love cinnamon, and like I said, the only time I chewed cinnamon gum was when I was in nursing school because somebody told me that on test days, cinnamon was supposed to help you. And I was like, all right, fine. So I got sugar-free cinnamon gum. I don't know if it worked. I mean, I had a 4.0, but I studied my little arse off. So I worked really, really hard. Um, so I don't know if it was the cinnamon gum. I was also taking ginkgo biloba to make sure that it helped my brain. So, and I was always also doing very high fat. I had been keto at that point 11 years, 12 years, something like that. So yeah. Kathy says, I love the cinnamon tooth powder, then bought the ingredients and make it. Love it. Good. Absolutely. I love it too. All right. And then Aid says, generally speaking, most of the time, I am sure there is some hideous experiments going on. Yes, I am. Yes. Now, I'm going to say something without saying it, and I just want you guys to hear me out, regardless of what you guys did or did not do when it comes to the thing. I'm not against anybody doing it if they wanted to. I'm against the forcing of that. But I will tell you that we had a physician who passed away mysteriously very close to a boosty boost of massive clots and things. And the only place in his body that he did not have any of the little proteins was his stomach. Every other organ was absolutely shredded with them. Blood vessels look like shreds of skin peeling off of them, like a cheese grater had been down them. Eyes, everything, brain, prostate, big toe where he had gout, everything. Everything had something in it. The only organ that did not was the stomach. So that the way my brain works, I'm always like, oh, and he had never had the vid either. So he didn't have that in there from the vid. Um, But I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." So I wonder if hydrochloric acid and pepsin and all those things does something to that, because that's the only organ. And then I talked to somebody else, and they said that they had heard the same thing, which I don't know. I got this firsthand from this person's wife, who was a nurse, um, who thankfully took her husband once he was passed, to a university in a different state than the state we live in. And had him on dry ice and they did all the testing and that's how she knew where it was. Um, so yeah, I don't know how I feel about that going into those things. I know that the person I get my stuff from does not and will not use that as long as, as he will not have cattle if he has to ever do that. That'll be a thing in the past. So I don't think I have to worry about it. But even if I did, I have very good acids in my stomach. I take apple cider vinegar with the mother in it if I start to feel like my acids are kind of off balance a little bit. And I also have the scary, dreaded medication for that so that if that ever happens, I have that available if I needed to. So hopefully I don't have to worry about it. Let's see. So Jiffy says, my grandparents, Mimi and Papa. I'm a Mimi. Aw. And my husband's Papa. I love that. That's cool. Raised me. Papa died at 88 and Mimi was 85. We ate from the land, mostly squirrel, rabbit, deer, and duck, fish. They didn't work hard for their longevity. Yeah. Um, that's pretty good. I don't eat rabbit and squirrel anymore. I have, but I do eat wild caught fish. I have never eaten, yes, I have. I take that back. I ate duck when I was younger because my grandmother made it. I don't shoot ducks and eat them, but there's a lot of people out there that do. Um, yeah, Charger Mopar. He's duck man. He loves his duck, yeah, and his iguanas. I don't know, maybe iguana's good. Maybe if I ever get down that direction, I'll see him and Russ, and I'll have some iguana, and we'll see how that goes. So, yeah, the thing is like you said, Jippy, is your grandparents, they ate real food, and their food hadn't been as messed with. They also started at a different level than us. Their food in the beginning wasn't genetically modified. It wasn't all the chemicals, in the ground. Um, I had a farmer say something about my soil out there where I have my corn is this soil here. And I said, what do you mean best soil? And he's like, oh, it's the best soil around. It grows the biggest corn. I said, oh, okay. And I said, well, I think the dirt in my garden's pretty good because I said, you can take a shovel out there and overturn dirt this deep. I said, you'll have 20 different kinds of worms in it. And he's like, "Oh, there ain't no worms in mine, like where I plant my fields." I'm like, "There's no animal. You murder everything, absolutely." And he was like, "I don't." And I was like, "Yes, you do." I was like, and that's up to you. I understand you got to make a living. I said, but don't be like your ground's, superb and superior to everybody else's ground because my ground's alive and your ground is dead, and producing stuff that's junk. So yeah, getting closer to nature is definitely good for us. You are right. So Arlene said, I hated the thing. I watched Dr. Mobeen Syed. He talked about taking vitamins and providine iodine nasal spray. Absolutely. Yep. And you can buy, let me see if I can, oh, I don't know what I did with it. I have so much stuff in here now. Oh, okay. So I'll show you what I did. So I have silver, I have methylene blue, and I, of course, have the iodine, but you can buy these little nasal things like that. Has the little thing that comes off, and you can fill it with what you need to yourself. And so I make up some of that, like with the methylene blue, the iodine, and the silver, colloidal silver. So, but that's something you can do. You easily can get some of those bottles and make that kind of stuff up. But any of that definitely helps. So good, Aid. He says he refuses to have any of those cattle that have been inoculated on his property. That is wonderful. Ruminants do make soil. You are exactly. Crops make dirt. And that's something that we talked about later. I said, you have cattle and you keep them on the same lot, and they're not like in a confinement necessarily, but they're in the same place. Like it's that he doesn't really. I said, you've got all this property and it's all fenced. And I was like, why wouldn't you, like when the corn's done this year and you don't disc it under, like leave it for them to have. And then why not put the cows over on that? And then next year put them over where you have soybeans, and the next year put them back on more of their, like, why wouldn't you do that so you can put all that stuff naturally back into the ground? And I don't know if this is true, but he said that some of the USDA, I don't know what those checks are called that they get from like your USDA offices and stuff like that, whatever those checks are, that some of that is tied to how they treat the land, how they do that stuff. I don't know if that's true. That's what he said. So we shall see. But yes, and then I'm gonna go over real quick this morning, talking with a physician who is mind boggled and blown away at why his patient is no longer needing blood pressure medicine. They've had to take them off of their statin, 2 blood pressure medicines. What was the third Oh, and acid reflux medication. Do you know why I'm having to take this person off of that? And I was like, because they're better, because they don't have any of those conditions. And really, with the acid reflux medicine, sir, I said, not to be snarky, but that was never the problem, was not enough acid. It was too much, was never too much acid. It was not enough. And then the food sits there and putrefies, and then the acid is going to travel up. But I said, we are treating it as though they have too much acid, and that's not the truth. And then I went into, that medicine blocks acetylcholine, which is also a neurotransmitter. And then you put them on a statin, and then their brain can't get fed. And then they end up with all these, brain diseases, which he poo pooed. And I was like, don't care. I have science to back it. And then we got into the discussion of the high blood pressure medicine. And so I was like, well, what were you treating this patient's blood pressure for? And he says, because it was high. And I said, I know, but what was the root cause of this person's blood pressure? Well, who knows? It could be anything. It could have been primary, it could have been secondary hypertension. I said, yeah, those are fluff words. I was a cardiac nurse. I know that. What was causing it? Do we have kidney filtration issues? Do we have coronary artery, disease? Do we have pulmonary hypertension? Do we have a lung condition that is causing this to back up? What are we treating with the medication? And he says, well, the way the medication works is it relaxes the blood vessels. I said, I don't need an education on how the medication works. I know what the medication does. I took pharmacology. And he said, well, the science behind it. And I said, yes, let's discuss the science behind it. And I said, these older people are taking these medications thinking that they're going to get better, which they're never going to. They're going to always have to go up on that blood pressure medication. I said, number two, you're opening up these blood vessels, brain, body, everything is opening. So you have them all big and open and relaxed. And then they trip over their dog and fall and hit their head. What are they at a greater risk of? And he says, that's not true. And I was like, okay, well, when you have the science to prove that I'm wrong, then we can have that discussion. I said, so did you call here to give a doctor's order to do something different with this person? Or what did you call for? Are you calling me because you're mad because they no longer have three conditions to be medicated for? Because I would think you'd be calling me going, great job. I don't know what you've done to help talk with them and get them changed. And they didn't even change a whole lot. They literally move more and they have cut out the processed foods and they're doing more single ingredient foods. That's it. They're not keto, they're not ketovore, they're not carnivore. They just eat like we did 100 years ago. So I don't really care. My license says that my education part that I do with patients includes nutrition, and nowhere do they give the guidelines as to what the nutrition is. So I do not mind. They can call every single day. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's see. So, Adrian, what is mRNA and what does it mean goes through the brain barrier? What does that mean for us? Hmm. Um, so that's messenger. So we make some of that every single day. Okay, so the way that works in our body is as our cells are getting ready to take, their time to go, it's their lifespan has left. We have that. We develop some of that and it makes copies. So it's a messenger RNA, which just means it replicates. So it makes a copy of that cell. And then the old cell dies off and that mRNA dies off. Well, our natural one does that. My concern is that the other, I'm not sure when that or if that death process of it ever happens. Um, that's the only thing I would worry about. And the only thing you can really do is a lot of heavy metal detoxes. Try to look up Dr. Peter McCullough, follow some protocols, feed your brain well with the fats that you're doing. And just know that a lot of people's immune system has come back and been able to kind of override what was put. So that's the best advice. That's what I would tell my mother if she asked me. Let's see. Yeah. Yes, Simpson. It is definitely interesting. Yeah. And let's see. Aid says statins, dementia. Yep. Type 3 diabetes, sugar and carbs cause it, but statins speed up the decay. No one needs to be on a statin. So um, the way they work is they block your liver from producing the cholesterol. And then also the food that you eat, it blocks the cholesterol from going where it's supposed to. It sends it all out to the bladder and bowel. And so there are, like my father-in-law, my stepdad, I mean, he had a heart attack a year and a half ago and he's diabetic. So we got that taken care of, got that treated. He got a stent or two, he got two stents. And he is taking the blood thinner medicine. Actually, I think he's done with that now. He just did a year of it, but he did not ever do the other medication that they wanted him to. Um, the only benefit that I can see of somebody taking that is after a cardiac event to help keep the inflammation down. After about a month, it is shown that that benefit goes away. So that keeping the inflammation down while your artery is trying to heal from having a stent put in, I can understand where that mechanism might be okay. But if you can change your lifestyle and your eating, you don't have to worry about it anyway because you won't have that inflammation either. So that's how my stepdad did it. He just the scariest thing is when I look at a patient and I can tell them or their family they have dementia. It's horrible. They're into their 10th, 15th year of having dementia. And I'm like, before I ever even look at their med list, I said, I'm going to guess that they have been on a statin and they have been on a GERD, a medicine for acid reflux. They're like, how'd you know? And I was like, it's just a lucky guess. Because when those two are together and the junk in the food, it doesn't help to be, yeah, it doesn't help. It's kind of sad. So Simpson says the brain has a barrier where a lot of drugs and bugs can get through. So if mRNA can get through, it can affect the brain. Oh yeah, it definitely can. Like I said, that neurosurgeon, that his first symptoms was brain activity, seizing and doing things like that. And then he had a humongous saddle pulmonary embolism, biggest they'd ever seen. But of course, it was not related to that. you know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Arlene, Laura, so proud of you. Love your passion to help other people live longer. That is the name of the game. I feel like that's what we are supposed to do. I feel like the medical field, whether you're a CNA, whether you're a hostess at a nursing home, whether you're a nurse, whether you're the doctor, the physical therapist, occupational therapist, I don't care what your job title is, we are supposed to try to help people get better. I don't want to keep people sick and see them continually decline. And no offense, don't take this the wrong way. I love hospice and I think hospice is wonderful. I know when it's time to tell patients or a family member that it's time for hospice. I'm not a hospice nurse for the same reason. I can't go into taking care of somebody knowing that there is no rainbow at the other side, like they're not coming back. I don't like that for me because I get way too attached and I just don't like it. Um, so that's not for me. But like I said, I've seen some wonderful, wonderful hospice nurses, but I feel like our job as healthcare workers should be to try to educate people, everybody, whether they're vegan, carnivore, I don't care what they are, fruitarian, is to try to be the best health that they can to take their health back in their own hands. And then something catastrophic. That's really what it used to be. You remember growing up and you could have your arm facing the other direction and your mom's like, walk it off. It's fine. You might not go to the doctor for 2 days. Now it's like, oh, I have a little bit of a sore throat. I haven't tried, like saltwater gargles or apple cider vinegar or honey and garlic or anything. I'm going to run to the doctor. Well, what's he going to do? He's going to throw you on medication. He's going to give you antibiotics that ruin your gut bacteria. And sometimes you have to have those antibiotics, but not to the level that they do. Arlene says, my husband has taken statins and stuff for his stomach and now he just takes a statin once in a while. But I told him it can cause dementia more. So he's trying not to take it and I don't take one. Yeah. Yeah. This is what I said to one of the cardiologists I was working with, and this was after the Jupiter study came out in 2020, saying basically you could take statins for your entire lifetime and eat a low fat diet, and it may, which also means may not, win you an additional 3 days of life. I'll take 3 less days and have this work versus that. It's just not going to happen. But we had that discussion because I said, you took physiology and pathophysiology and you took all these classes and we have to have the cholesterol there for a reason. We didn't make as a species here because we were walking around eating tofu and broccoli and staying away from the animal fat because it's so dangerous. And he was like, well, but they have these. And I said, no, the food options in the grocery store are not food. It's frankenfood. And I'm like, are you trying to tell me that God created products that were put on this earth prior to us manipulating and growing stuff out of season and changing it, that is worse for our health than the stuff that comes out of food factories? Because I've worked at a food factory as well. And he's like, I'm not saying that. And I was like, yeah, you kind of are. That's what you're telling your patients to eat, that it's okay to eat those little microwave dinners. to do that twice a day, plus eat a regular meal. And I'm like, so no, it's not right. Um, and I don't know lecithin, and it's hard to find good lecithin. You don't want the soy lecithin if you can help it. Lecithin is a good fat emulsifier and kind of helps get the triglycerides brought down. So that's something else that people can do, in my opinion. Not a doctor, not telling you to take it, just saying I did take that in the beginning in 1991. I'm trying to help Arlene says, I'm trying to help my neighbor whose husband is 60 years old and has just got Alzheimer's. Oh my, that's young. And trying to help her go low carb and gave her that coconut oil. Yes. Um, and I don't know how great you are on the computer, but have her look up like the benefits of MCT oil as well for brain. Okay. Aid says if his trigs are low and his HDL is high, then he does not need to be on it. Exactly. And even if it was the other way around, the statin falsely actually lowers that stuff anyway. It's not even a true. And when it comes to cardiac disease and stroke, I worked in those departments, and the people that came in over 90 some percent had very low cholesterol, been on statins. Most of them hadn't touched anything that came from an animal in decades, and they were there with calcium filled arteries. So it did nothing to keep them off of the table. If anything, it made it worse. Plus, their immune system was crap because they didn't have any cholesterol helping their immune system. The best thing a person can do with Alzheimer's is to fast and do carnivore. I agree. Fasting is amazing for that because those plaque proteins um, can get broken down, but you need to really do autophagy. And so some fasting with that is absolutely great. You are exactly right, Abe. Let's see. There is a massive difference between relative risk and absolute risk. Big pharma, yes, they do twist absolute and relative risk. You are absolutely right. Yep. Trying to help my neighbor's husband begin with low carb. Yep. Yeah. And I agree, Arlene. A lot of times you do have to kind of do baby steps into getting people to kind of change their lifestyle. So yeah, I like it. Oh, Russ, you're crazy. I was like, "You're not my doctor." I was like, "No, I'm not a doctor." He says, "You're not my doctor, but I will do it because I'm afraid of you." Nobody's afraid of me. Well, there might be a few people, mostly doctors. All right, so RV there yet. Laura, off topic, but I'm prepping for my first colonoscopy. Oh, a bit scared. Had a positive Cologuard test, which I know are not reliable. Still really nervous. Asking for prayers. Thank you. Absolutely. Um, yeah. And I don't know if you had any like bowel related issues previously or anything like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's or anything like that or IBS. Um, but we'll see. Hopefully everything will come out okay. And I will tell you this, and this is going to be TMI for a lot of people. So Russ, you may not want to hear this, is I eat my meat blue rare. Okay. So when you touch the center of the steak inside, it's not even warm. So, but I will tell you, I just wanted to test this out because this is how nurse brains work. And I did a guaiac stool 9 hours later and it was positive. So then the next day I ate hamburger, but I purposely cooked it all the way through with my ribeye fat, did a guaiac stool, which is where you test for blood in the stool. None. Next day, I ate ground lamb and ribeye fat. None. Fourth day, I went back. I did another ribeye as rare as you could possibly do it with ribeye fat. 9 hours later, positive guaiac. So I was like, there's something to that. So I'm not sure if I'm not getting rid of all of the heme and stuff in that, and that's picking up. I don't know. But hopefully everything will do wonderful. Um, the last one I had two of them done within a 2-year period because I had several polyps. And this was when I was keto. I was 2.5 years carnivore. Yes, yes, 2.5 years carnivore, and had the last colonoscopy. And he was like, "You have nothing, smooth sailing. There's nothing. You have no polyps." He says, "I was going to pull from this one area because it kind of had a pouch on it, but," he says, "and then when we turned you, it went away. It wasn't really there. It was like a muscle." And he's like, "So they're not there. So you can come back in 10 years." And I was like, "I'm not coming back in 10 years just because there's not that kind of cancer in my family. And the way I'm eating, I'm not worried about getting that." So, okay. So 58-year-old female. So RV there, you 58-year-old female, no gastro issues ever. Okay, good. All right. Well, RV, I think everything will work out just fine. The worst thing about that procedure is doing the prep. The last time I did mine, I did none of their prep because I'm not drinking Gatorade and I'm not drinking that much Miralax. Even in plain water, I'm not doing it. I actually fasted for 7 days and drank salt and water and like 2 spoonfuls of Soleil in each of my water bottles because that cleans you out very well. Um, I did that before my colonoscopy, that last one, and they were like, "Oh, wow, everything, yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, do you want your bottle of Relax and your little pills back? Because I didn't take any of them." And they're like, "No." I'm like, "Okay." So they're in a cabinet somewhere. Izzy, hello, Laura, and everyone. Seems everyone around me are all on the big three meds for BP, diabetes, and cholesterol. Seems far too many doctors today have been groomed as pharma employees instead of healthcare professionals. Well, if you ever want to go down a really big rabbit hole, you should go into when medicine was hijacked, when the medical schools were hijacked by the three big families, um, Carnegie, Rockefeller, and I cannot remember the third. Um, they were heavily invested in pharmaceuticals and petro, which is in every one of your medications that come through the pharmacy. Every single one of them has petroleum in them. So those people went to schools and defunded schools that taught regular like homeopathic type things. They almost also got rid of the chiropractic schools at that time. Um, very few of those survived, but thank God they did. But all of the medical schools, go look at any medical school and see who funds the medical school. Pfizer, I can't even say all the names without wanting to vomit, really. Um, but that's where all the money comes from. So they dictate kind of how they do it. Also, the people that set up the standard of care, namely our Congress, also are in bed with them because they bought all the stock of those companies. So the standard of care tells your doctor what he can and cannot prescribe and what he has to do according to your symptoms. So unfortunately, they have to do that. Never ever had good. RV, I think you'll be okay. I think I think you'll be just fine, but definitely you can reach out to me and let me know what they find. When do you actually have that done? If you're doing the prep now, you're probably tomorrow or the next day. Okay, my husband triglycerides 75, his cholesterol was 400, and my triglycerides 45. My cholesterol is 260, and others were very good for both of us. Doctor said great, but take statins. Yeah. My total cholesterol is anywhere between 350, 360, 380, somewhere in there. Yet my coronary cardiac score, calcium score is 0, and both soft and hard plaque. So not worried about it. Homesick Buckeye. And you wonder why I'm afraid of you. Is that because of the guaiac stool? Because I'm not coming to your house and doing that to you. So I'm not sure. I just want to try iguana sometime. You'll have to talk to Rick. Let's see. Yep. I'm just looking at the questions and comments. Good. I'm glad some of you were able to get on here today because I wasn't sure. I hadn't been able to get on because everybody bought so many products after my Dave Mack interview. I spent it's been 3 weeks of every single morning, 2 hours, 3 hours before going to work making product. Same with after work and then my weekends, 100% just making product because a lot of my stuff has to cure or take 6 weeks for like my tinctures. I've got a plan for that. Now every 2 weeks I'm starting new tinctures so I don't have to do that again. But anyway, I was like, I need to make a video even, and I had tried to make this video one other time and upload it and it didn't go anywhere. I'm sure they'll probably kick it out. I did have a video taken down because we interviewed a physician. We interviewed Dr. Kiltz on the Meaty Mondays with the Fierce Felines. I have no idea what was said on there that was so bad. I did appeal it and they were like, nope, we make the rules. This is a socialistic state, so we get to do what we want. So it went away, which is fine, whatever. Okay, prepping now, drinking water with salt, magnesium, and potassium. Very good, very good. So Arlene says, I eat my meat well done. I only like it crispy. So should I add taurine or anything to help me be healthier? I don't like rare, only well done. Maybe I will just pray for myself to change. This is what I did. I started out with being very well done and then well done and medium rare. What I would do is I would fast and then I would cook the meat a little bit less, a little bit more rare each time. And when you're really hungry and you're truly hungry because you fasted, excuse me, then yeah, I mean, you'll eat it and you're gonna be like, "Oh, yeah, I can actually taste the meat, like, I can really taste it." Like, I always tell people, like, we went to a restaurant, like, 2 years ago, and they were like, "How do you want your steak done?" And I was like, "I don't want any seed oil, just throw it on the grill with some butter, I don't care, but don't put any of this on it. How rare do you want it?" I said, "I want to be able to tell you what it ate yesterday." So, I'm sure they probably spit on my food. They were like, "This lady's crazy." I'm like, "Whatever." But yeah, I would just try that, like maybe do some fasting. And if you're really, really hungry, you'd be surprised. And I think if you put enough salt on top too, I think that also helps with that. So, and you can get a lot of that with eggs and stuff too, if you're able to eat eggs and stuff. So, but if like after you've been doing this for, another 6 months, if you're still having trouble, you could add that in. Yes. Let's see. Thank you so much. Let's see. I've always eaten well done too. Yeah. Ah, yes, yes, because it is the more you cook the meat, the harder it is to chew, I think. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Arlene, do not be careful. You will make his head, mm, he will be so hard to deal with. Let's see, 7 days without beef makes 1 week. It does make 1 week. I love your little sayings. You crack me up. That is so good. I wish I could come up with one-liners. You and Rush should do something together because he's funny too. Oh, well, thank you, Arlene. Yeah, that was a really good interview. I had a good time. That was one of my favorite interviews. I did like that. So 9 a.m. tomorrow is when you're having your oh yeah, the souffle prep. Oh yeah. Which that's better with monk fruit at least. That's good. Yeah. Good. Well, good. Dave Mack had to retire. I know. I only got to watch like 5 minutes. Elizabeth. Um, I saw just a little bit of that, and then I was like, I have it saved on my phone so that when I get done, I can go and see it. Yes, Linda, it is definitely socialistic. You are correct. I'm trying to think what they said. So, like, I tried to appeal it because it was like misinformation, disinformation. I'm like, oh, yes, let me go rainbow my hair and say it, and then you'll be okay with it, right? Or ask you to call me he, they, them, their, that, cat, meow, whatever. Um, but I said this was a physician. This is an actual MD who can, like, he had all the information to back up anything that he was talking about. And he was very careful. He didn't say he didn't say, he was very careful. So I have no idea. Oh, see, I told you. Yes, write that down, Russ. Write it down. Starve until you want to eat raw. I didn't say raw. My meat is not raw. It's just blue rare. RV says, yes, Laura, that's how I did it too, except I'm still at medium, which is fine. Medium, I think medium is fine. And I think even if it's well cooked, you're not going to kill it completely. I mean, there is some testing you can see. So, yep. I was just going to say the Cologuard. I thought it said that it could also test positive with meat. So, and like I said, even the guaiac, it didn't tell me that, but it just made sense to me. I was like, I'm going to see if it does. And sure enough, both times I did that with the really, really rare meats, it showed up that way. And I was like, hmm. Like I said, with the well cooked hamburger, it didn't. Now it's funny. I love steak to be that way. If I'm eating hamburger that's crumbled up, I want it cooked all the way through. If I'm eating a hamburger, I want it raw in the middle. I don't know. I'm odd. And I don't need any help knowing that I'm odd from you, Russ. Be nice. Let's see. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to catch Russ's Tuesday keto cookouts. He has some crazy good people on there. So, and it's a good time. So, anyway, all right. Let's see. What am I going to do? Hmm. I'm going to make up that order for her right now and get that sent out in the morning. So you should have that. I think it should be to you within, I think the post office lady, I think she's open tomorrow. I can't guarantee it, but if she's there tomorrow, I will send out your package tomorrow. If not, then I'll send it Monday. But anyway, you should have it within 2 to 3 days of me sending it. So, okay, RV, one more thing, and I'll stop hogging the chat. I'm still on my first of 2 shampoo bars from you and the first of the 2 chapsticks and the first lotion. Your products are dense and long lasting. They are. Now, I will tell you different types of skin types um, must soak in the lotion more because I've had some that are like, I ran through that and actually, see this size? I'll show you. I actually had somebody that was like, can you make some of the peace lotion in like the 4-ounce containers? So that's a 4-ounce compared to the 2-ounce. So that's a big difference. But anyway, and so I do sometimes make up the bigger amounts, but they do last. Like the one I had on my dresser up until I made the vanilla one a couple weeks ago was the peace scented lotion. And sometimes I make mine in like a jelly jar, just the little short ones. And the only reason I don't do those and send them out is because it costs about $13 to send a package out if I use any of the glass products, other than like the smaller ones. I'll show you like these little ones, like the facial serum. That's about $7.50. So I usually lose on the shipping, but that's okay. I wanted to get out to the people, so I'm okay with that. All right, let's see. So Aid says ground beef is really lots of little. It is. I do. I thought that the other day. It's funny you say that, Aid. I had made up some beef and some ribeye fat, real crispy, and put in there and took it to work. And I was working and eating my lunch because that's what happens with most of us anymore, it seems like. Um, and I looked down and I swore it was like a piece of steak, like a little teeny chunk of it, like somebody had just cut teeny tiny. And I was like, well, it is steak that they grind up and add the fat to. So maybe I was like, I wonder what it is. So Linda says, I'm hoping to get a shampoo bar out of stock a lot. That must be a sign of how good they are. They are. I do have one vanilla shampoo And I have rosemary shampoo right now too, which is really good, but I have several like lemon. What was the other one? I don't know. I've got so many of them and they're close. Two of them will be ready. They take 4 weeks to cure. Um, so they should be going up. But the rosemary's up and it's really good. It's very good for your hair, and your scalp, especially if you have any trouble with any thinning hair, any problems like that. It is very good. So it should be showing up on the website anyway. So, but I didn't come on here to sell. I came on here just to gab with you guys. So Aid says, I make my own ground beef, 10% beef heart. Oh, beef liver. Oh, that sounds good. Okay. So I have a question for you, Aid. So what I do, like, and I don't know if you've seen my videos like my deer or anything, you got to be careful processing meat on YouTube because they freak out. At least they did on my video. I did one where I showed like the deer as I was, deboning and taking stuff off, and that thing got ripped off immediately. And I didn't have as many followers, so they really just are like, your video has been removed for some kind of content. I don't even remember what they said. And I was like, oh, but it's okay to show pedophiles and children being read to by this. Okay, okay. And that's not sensitive material, whatever. Um, but I have a question for you. Have you ever taken kidney and mixed it in with your ground beef? I did that with my one of my does this last year. I kept her kidneys, her liver. I couldn't keep her heart because that's what I took out. Um, Yeah, I kept those and I ground that into that. I also add some burger to her, and then I always grind up ribeye fat and mix into it. Um, but I put that in there, and I'm going to tell you something. I loved it. And if you're somebody who has ever eaten at the restaurant called Made Right, that is his recipe had liver, kidney, heart, onion. And I can tell you this because he told me many years ago when we took care of him for something. He was like, "You like my stuff?" And I was like, "I haven't eaten it. It's on bread." And he goes, "You can get it dry." And I was like, "What's a dry?" And he says, "We squeeze out all the fat and we put it in a cup and you can eat it that way." And I was like, "Well, I want the fat. I just don't want the bun." So I did try it and it was delicious. And I was like, oh, and he says, do you want to know the recipe? And I was like, are you dying? Are you giving me like your recipe? What are you doing? And he's like, no. He says, we don't keep it a trade secret. It's up on our site. I was like, oh, okay. But anyway, he said, yeah, he did all that. And I was like, really? I was like, I'll bet most of the people that go through that drive through would lose their minds if they thought that, but they're not afraid to go through the McDonald's line and get the chicken nuggets that have 74 ingredients. Okay, so Aid says, yep, I've often put kidney, but I stopped doing it because it doesn't add any other level of taste or nutrition. There's nothing wrong with kidney in your ground beef. Yeah. I liked I don't know what the taste was. It changed the taste of deer for me. At least the deer kidneys did, that I used. I don't know if it was a consistency because I am a consistency person. So when I ate multiple types of food, nothing could be touching, nothing could be soft and crunchy together. So like a potato salad or something, oh, it cannot have crunchy onions and celery. That is disgusting. First of all, that was disgusting to try to ever eat celery anyway, but no, not a thing. So, but yeah, I just wondered if you had done that. I got my deer tags the other day, so I cannot wait for deer season. And I'm all practiced up, so I'm pretty sure it'll be a good season. So anyway, I think, let's see, I run a 1/4 inch mincing head. Yep. Yeah, I do too. He was just saying he runs a 1/4 inch mincing head. The holes are 1/4 of an inch. And I've got two grinding. Um, this is what I have. So I actually have those KitchenAid mixers, and I've bought the attachment that has the grinder. I also have a actual steel. I think it's steel. Is it steel or aluminum? I don't know. I'm gonna have to look. Anyway, and you bolt it to your table and you actually hand grind it. I have that for when the shit hits the fan. Mm. I'm not going to read your question, Aid, because if I do, they'll take this off. Um, mm, mm, boy, I got to think. I really like a 30-06. The one my favorite one, I can't really say it out loud. Um, it's a big, bad, scary one that everybody thinks has done all of these shootings, even though it's only been involved in one of those shootings. But the media tries to scare everybody out of it. But I can tell you it can shoot a cartridge that's a 5.56 or a 2.23. So if you know anything about that, you will know what that is. So that's my favorite. But I have to be very careful. That's why everything is blurred back here behind me because this is my prep room. So everything is right there just in case. So that's my favorite anyway. But I love them all. They all have a purpose. Same with all of my hand ones. And I have some awesome patients in this area that have super old muskets, and I'm talking guns that were just super old. Um, yeah. And every time, like, I must look like I'm a person that has those types of things because there's been two patients in the past 2 years that have been like, that have been like, do you want to see my gun room? And I was like, yes, I do. I was like, "Yeah," because I'm already done doing their blood pressure and all their stuff like that, and I'm getting ready to leave, and they're like, "Do you wanna see my gun room?" I've had 2 people do that, and I was like and then as I'm leaving their house, I'm like, They could murder you and nobody would know where you were even at." But I was like I was so excited to just see what they had that I was like, "Ah, it's fine. I don't care." Aid says, "Are we going to make it to November?" Don't answer that. Some of us are. Yeah. Yes. So we will see, huh? Lots of dog and pony show stuff right now, but we'll see how that ends up. I think there's a lot of us that'll be just fine because we know better. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Well, thank you guys for being on here. My husband's mowing the yard. I did the weed eating before I came live because I'm very OCD about the weed eating. And so I was like, I'll do the weed eating, and then I use a leaf blower when he's all done because I don't like it to be on the sidewalks and I'm too lazy to sweep it, although it'd be good for an arm workout. But I already did my arm workout this morning. So, but anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. I appreciate you guys. I hope the information on the food additives helps everybody so that um some of the same letters. So just turned around the other direction. Um, Aid. So, hi Renee, how are you? Love to see you. Oh, awesome. Okay, Linda. Yeah. I didn't know when the last time you had looked, but I knew the rosemary was on there and there was one vanilla left. And like I said, the other ones will be done here pretty shortly too. So they'll be coming up there. I know, Renee. I'm sorry. I don't want to keep everybody on here. I've been on here an hour and 18 minutes. I cannot. Um, anyway, so I will let you guys go before I get into a discussion and they'll kick me off and I'll have people knocking on my door. I'll be swatted or something. So I got to be careful. Still in. Oh, poor Renee. And how many, can you remind me, Renee, when did you have your hip done? Wasn't it like June? Was it June 20th? I feel like it was, but maybe it was May. But I was thinking that it hasn't been that long. Yeah, that sucks. Okay, I was thinking it was somewhere around there. So, yeah. And I don't know where you live, do the doctors have you do physical therapy after you have a hip done? Some doctors where I am have patients do therapy for hips. Some of them say just walking is the best therapy you can do for a hip replacement. So, yeah, I don't know if you're doing therapy, but sometimes you can work with your primary care if your surgeon doesn't think you need it. Sometimes your primary care doctor can actually order some therapy for you. So I would see about that if you're not having that done. Perfect. I just want to read these, make sure I don't miss anybody. Okay. Hmm. Making a hit list for them. Yeah, they're kind of hurt. Yeah. So I know it'll get there. My mom's first hip, her right hip was pretty easy, and her left hip, she did it was a lot different, and they were only like 2 years apart. They weren't very far. Um, oh yeah, against a wall, absolutely. Yeah, that's surprising how you think, "Oh, that's that easy. It's not that hard," but it kinda is actually hard, so perfect. Alright. Well, sorry, Renee. I'm sorry, that you just got on here, but I'm gonna go do something, and thank you, Aid, for all the questions. That'll probably get me in trouble, that's okay. I have been kicked off of every single platform except for one maybe, that's owned by somebody that has a brain, so anyway. Thanks. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful evening. Let's see, today's Thursday. I have admissions tomorrow and patients to work with. Before and after my admissions, we got an admission kind of thrown on us last minute, which is fine. I mean, I feel bad because on my website, I do counsel with people, and there's no way to go in and block out certain times. I have to wipe out a whole day or three-quarters of a day, and I can't pick specific dates to block out, if that makes sense. So, like, if I have a dentist appointment, I can't go in there and be like, I need to take out from 1 to 3. I can't do, on my Fridays or Saturdays or whatever. And it does not allow for that. It's like you have to pick a Friday and it's every single Friday is going to show up that way. So I don't really like that. I did send a message to the Square site people that that would be nice if they had that function on there. They're probably like buy the more expensive version of it and we'll do that. But I'm like, I'm trying to be cheaper, so we'll see. But I'm going to see those people tomorrow. So I'm excited. I love working with people one on one. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right. So we're going to give out some good vibes and some prayers for Renee to get better. And then I will, perfect, Arlene. I will get everybody's stuff put together and I will get that mailed out. If the mail lady is here tomorrow, I have first patients in a little bit bigger town close to. So if this lady is not open, I'll try to get it to the other post office before I see that patient. So, all right, everybody, I want you guys to have a great weekend. If for some reason, if I have some like harebrained idea come up this weekend, I will jump on here again. Otherwise, you could always come watch us with Meaty Mondays, with the Fierce Felines, with the crazy G Brown, the very nice Robin, and myself, and then usually news that you can use with Rhonda. And Rebecca is taking some time off. She is very pregnant, very busy, lots of kids, business, schooling, all kinds of stuff. So she's taking some time off. But we will miss her. She is very intelligent, very intelligent. So she will be back at some point, hopefully. And we will all kind of do that again. So thank you. And you guys have a wonderful day. So I'm gonna get off of here because I'll keep reading questions and then I'll get myself on a soapbox. See ya.